I haven't won a lot of races. I haven't really done a whole lot of cool things, but at the end of the day, for me, I get to enjoy it. My motto at my trailer is "Win or lose, we drink booze."
Hell yeah.
Um,
Welcome back, everybody, to an episode of Checkered Roots. I appreciate everybody for joining us wherever you may be. Today we have another first. We have a 360 sprint car driver. So we have not had one of these. I'm interested to hear. It sounds like he has a ton of good stories. So hopefully we get into some of those. And yeah, without further ado, let's introduce Mr. Christian Kinnison. Mr. Christian, how you doing, man?
Man, I can't complain. It never does me any good. How are you doing?
I feel about the same, brother. I feel about the same. Wife and kids aren't here this week, so I've had a lot of time to
Oh,
watch
you've gotten to
racing.
go to bed.
Yep,
Oh
yep.
yeah.
I went to the racetrack. Been doing a lot of sim racing. Been editing a lot of videos. Working on T-shirts. Yeah, man. It's been kind of quiet but lonely at the same time.
Yeah, but you get to go to bed at 7. You can't complain with that too
Yeah,
much.
right. I don't get woken up with a juice bottle getting thrown
They
at my
fail
head.
to teach you that as an adult. They're like the ideal bedtime is 9 o'clock.
Yeah,
There's no way
right.
around
I couldn't agree with you more, man. Well, let's kind of get into
it.
this, man. Tell me a little bit about you and what you do, what you race, what your day job is. Kind of give us a rundown on you.
So my name's Christian Kinnison. I'm owner and operator of Performance Battery Solutions here in Billings, Montana. I started this business kind of just out of necessity. I started out just wanted to buy race car tires, and then it slowly progressed into now I cover a 4-state radius. So that is the day job, and then during the weekend, I race a 360 cubic inch sprint car, which to people that don't know, it's about the equivalent to the F1 car on dirt. We've got about 750 horsepower and we only weigh about 1,500 pounds. So it's pretty close. And I try to tell people it's the most fun you can have with your clothes on. And then when I'm not racing, I help our local track with a wingless class that they started 2 years ago. The track owner and myself, we have a wingless car we rent slash put drivers in to kind of feel them out. And we've grown the class that way pretty well. So I managed to do that. And then whenever we're not doing any of that, I get to do truck prep. And that's a story I can lead into later of how I got started with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the 360s, the next step up's the 410s, right? I'm new to the dirt racing world, but next step up would be 410s,
Perfect.
correct?
Correct. So 360, we run with the American Sprint Car Series. It's been around since 1992. World Racing Group just obtained it this last year. And it's a national series that runs across the country, but they have regions in each area. So for our region, it's the Frontier region. From where you're from, like in Colorado, they've got like a western region. They cover about 3 states there. We cover 2 states here. Then throughout the Midwest, there's about 3 or 4 more, and each series, yeah. So like the Frontier, so we get 2 national tour stops. The national tour is going to like in Colorado in a couple of weeks. They'll be there. So they just travel through each region and they stop through, but we grow our region. So we've got about 12 really good guys that can win on any given night. That's what I think we kind of pride ourselves on up here is the side because a lot of these national series, they'll stay count in within the Midwest, and those guys can cherry pick on their off weekends. They can't really do that up here. So when it comes time for our big 15,000 to win show at the end of August, a lot of these guys have no idea what's really going on or how we're going to get there and how much the track's really changed, how much the dirt's changed. So that's kind of where we get our leg up, I guess. So yeah, that's what I race is the 360. So it is the step below 410s, but as far as the money you're spending and the horsepower, they're pretty close in range.
Yeah, from the equivalency that I've heard, I've never heard F1 on dirt. That's a really good way to phrase it too. But the one I've always heard is you are taking a super bike motor and you're strapping it to a go kart. I mean,
Yeah, pretty much.
that's wild, dude. Isn't so if you weigh 1,500 pounds, what's the engine? Probably 500 of that at least or so.
Man, I want to say it's at least 400 by the time you get it all said and done. So I still run a steel block, but it's aluminum heads, magnesium injection. I think. Don't quote me on it, but it's not too bad. So and all the other components, they're pretty lightweight as well. I'm probably the heaviest thing in the car, which is standard, but being 5'6", I'm meant to be a sprint car driver is what I tell people. So,
Right there you go. I love it. And then I'd actually so Montana is racing predominant in Montana? I've never heard much about it.
so Montana is predominantly. So I know there's like different sanctioning bodies up there, but we've got the IMCA sanctioning and the WSOTA sanctioning, and So we've got three racetracks here in Montana. One's in Great Falls, Montana, one's in Belgrade, Montana, then one's here in Billings, Montana. And about each night, I mean, each racetrack will have anywhere from 60, 80, 100 cars for the three or four classes they'll run each night. So I would say so. I mean, granted, we attract a lot of cars from the Dakotas and Idaho and stuff like that, but it all depends on who's putting up the money. So,
Sure. And then, so to kind of back up a little bit, what what got you into racing? Like, what made you decide to step off the plank of financial bad decisions and going for a
yeah.
hobby? Like, what pushed you to say, you know what, I'm gonna do this?
So it all started in 2006. I met a kid on the bus. His name's Tony Dowd. He was wearing his go kart shirt at the time, and I thought it was just the coolest thing. And at that time, my parents had, and I had no idea what go kart racing was or racing was in general, other than what you'd see on NASCAR. And it took my parents 3 years to take me to a racetrack. So in 2006, I got my first chance at driving go karts, and we did that for a couple of years. Yeah, that was kind of the first decision. I was a baseball player thin and through. I was really good at it. I kind of wish I would have stayed with it. It pays a little better. But we did that, and 2007 was my first full season. But 19 years ago is when I got started racing.
Huh. And then what was the progression for you in racing? So you started in go-karts, then what did you do from there?
Yep. So we started out in the go karts with like the 5 horse like Predator motor you'd see at like a Harbor Freight today that you'd see for a generator, and then you ran the souped up go kart class, and we progressed to the micro sprint class. I did that for about 6 years, and we went through the entire ranks of that. I lived in Texas at the time, so we got to run to a famous track not too far from there. It's Port City Raceway in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and that's where the guys like Christopher Bell came from, and a lot of the guys that you've seen progress rapidly over the years. A lot of those guys came from there, and so we got to do that for a bit. And then after micro sprints kind of priced themselves out, we went the sprint car route, and I think it was 2017. I think we got our first sprint car. And we got just the 305 cubic inch, which is just a small block 350 Chevy, steel head, steel block, and they make right around 440 horsepower, 450 somewhere in there. And the IMCA Race Saver class has rapidly grown throughout the United States, and at that time, Texas and Oklahoma was huge for it. So I mean, we could do anywhere from 40 to 60 races a year around there. And then when I came up here, they didn't have a 305 class, so we went 360 racing.
That's cool. Do you miss the 305s at all? Or do you like the 360s?
I miss the cost effectiveness of the 305, but the hard part for me to understand, and I don't mean to rag on anybody when I say this out loud, I guess is probably the correct term. I don't like the fact that anybody can really afford a 305, because then you could put the Joe Blows that don't need to be in a race car and had a little extra money, and instead of kind of progressing through the street stock ranks or the modified ranks, they went straight into a sprint car and they tear a bunch of stuff up, and it's not fair to the guys that want to make the next day or the next week or the next race, whenever that may be. And at least in the 360 stuff, these cars are so expensive and they cost a lot of money and they take a lot of time to repair that everybody's kind of got that mutual respect for each other. So for me, it was moving up the 360 ranks. Yes, it's going to cost a lot more money, but I'm not having to worry about having a front end wiped out each night or worrying about the guy that, could build three or four more 305s and wad it up in the fence because he's running just weekly at home. And now I'm trucking or stuck in Belleville, Kansas somewhere trying to make it to the next show. And that's kind of why I like the 360s a little bit more. Plus, just the class of people you're racing with. You're racing with guys that do it for a living. They're going to try to they help you just enough to not be in the way. It's probably the best way to put it. I just want to make sure, like, hey, if I'm going to come up on you in lap traffic, you're not my problem.
Yeah,
If that makes
right.
any
Yeah,
sense.
right. No,
So at least with the 360 guys, they'll do that for you.
sure. That's the big appeal to. So when I first, well, really to back up even more, I said I was gonna go run four cylinders and start on dirt and
Oh,
four
bang
cylinder.
banger.
Yeah, but then like once I saw him, and I'm not knocking anybody who runs the four cylinders at all, but once I saw him at the track for the first time, I was just like, man, that looks like a death box. Like some of these look like they're held together with zip ties and duct tape, and I just don't know. I don't know if that's what I want to be a part of. So then I was like, okay, modifieds. Modifieds are cool. I want to go towards
Yep.
modifieds. And then I got linked up with Adam Dunwoody. He was a track champion up there at I-35 Speedway. And that's who I've been helping out lately. And I talked to him more, and I was like, I think I want to do B mods. And he's like, man, I would really say go E mods first, get your feet wet in E-mods, then if you decide to go higher, because stuff gets more expensive, it's more power, it's all that stuff as you get kind of up into the further ranks of these. Like E-mods are like where you start and it's cost affordable. So now I've switched again from 4 cylinders to B mods, and now E mods is definitely what I want to run. But yeah, that's kind of, that sounds like similar things with
Yeah.
you. That
Well, at least like in your case, right? Like if you go to like the 4 cylinder class, which once again, nope, nobody's docking anybody here. But if you run the 4 cylinder and try to move immediately up to like a sport mod, or even go just from the 4 cylinder to an E mod, you might have developed some bad habits from the front wheel drive stuff.
right.
Versus trying to get used to the B mod or the E mod with the rear end set up in the geometry and everything that kind of goes along with it, then you're kind of putting yourself in a bad situation of, man, I have to drive it this way to get the 4 cylinder car to turn, and now your E-mod you're spinning out every week. So it's a catch-22.
And I had somebody say something too that kind of changed my mind. So in my opening thing, like where I announced what I was doing, I say I want to drive race cars, and so I had someone send me a DM. I can't remember who it was, but it actually really got me thinking. Where they're like, okay, if you want to drive race cars, then don't go drive cars on a racetrack. Go drive race cars on a racetrack. So don't go take. Then what they meant was like, don't go take a Chevy Cobalt and go drive around the track. Like, actually, if you want to drive race cars, then drive race cars. And that kind of got me
Yep.
thinking. I was like, fuck, no, you're right, 100% right.
Mm-hmm. Don't take something you can put a license plate on and go back home.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Which, I mean, if you do that, that's pretty badass. Don't get me wrong. That'd
That
be
would be
cool.
cool. That
But
would be cool.
I see exactly what you're saying there.
Well, cool, man. So a little bit before we started recording, you were kind of telling me about owning a team and everything like that, and I'm really intrigued to hear more about that. So tell me a little bit more about this team you run. You said
So
you
with my
still rent
personal
cars, right?
team, yeah. So with my personal team, I'm a big advocate for you got to create your own destiny. And so you've got to, whether it's you help run other people's team to learn, like how I ended up in Montana, is I came up here to learn from an individual and try to learn their race team. And I've done that. I've been around the block a couple of times. I've been on the road a couple of years. And the biggest advocate I can tell anybody is, in order to get where you want to be, you've got to create your own destiny. So I came up here to learn. I came up here to learn shocks, torsion bars, the really nit and gritty stuff that you kind of need to know if you're going to take that next step or not. Now, granted, I decided to step away after that and kind of just stay more of a local level. But coming up here and getting to learn the shocks, I'm able to learn a little bit more about the race cars and what they need to do. And a lot of the sprint car stuff has transitioned from like super stiff shocks to super soft shocks, and why they did that and why we're doing what we're doing, why the tires are doing what they're doing. Why is all of a sudden our torsion bars, we went from your basic 1,000 bar, 1,025 bar to now we're at 1,015, 1,017, 1,012, 978. I mean, just there's a lot of different numbers now being thrown around with these race teams to where if you want to really understand it, you've got to learn it. And the guy I came up here to help originally, him and his business partner at the time, they were really big advocates for trying to pass that stuff on. And so now I try to do the same with our rental program up here as well. As anybody that wants to come in and join it, you're more than welcome to stay and hang out. We'll go through the car, we'll go through the maintenance, but I'll tell you why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I do the same for anybody that comes up and asks. I'm no, some of the greats in our world, is like Steve Kinzer is a driver, but Carl Kinzer is a crew chief. Somebody I look up to, his name is Jimmy Jones. In my opinion, he's one of the greatest out there. So I'm not a Jimmy Jones by any means, but um, if I can pass along some of the knowledge he passed along to me, I would love to pass that to the next guy that wants to learn. Because as Jimmy would always say, my time's coming to an end here in this racing world. Someone's got to pass it on, and I don't want to be stuck one day and didn't pass it along to anybody. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That makes sense. How many cars do you rent out, or how do people get in touch with you if somebody listening is near Montana and says, "Hey, I want to go try that"?
yeah. So we've got our local racing store up here. It's JJM Performance. I don't know their number off the top of my head. I know they're at 420 or 1420 Minnesota Avenue here in Billings. But you just get a hold of them. They run the whole the money side of the wingless program, kind of what you expect, what you want. We've got a couple of different options. Our wingless car up here is a Crate 602 motor. So it's about as, I wouldn't say as slow. Slow's not the correct term, but it's an easy to understand motor.
Mm-hmm.
It's not one of those deals where you romp on it and you spin it out. It's one of those that kind of lets you teach and progress. And Everybody I've had in the car, except for a couple of people that we just did some one night stands with. But if I get a weekend with them, we've gotten them in the top three at least a couple of times. So
Oh wow.
the car drives itself there at the end. It's just getting the idiot to get behind the wheel and press the gas pedal is essentially what I say.
Yeah, fair enough. I heard that last night too, actually, when I was up at the track. Someone, I mean,
Mhm.
somebody got their car absolutely cleaned out, and he's like, I just don't understand why people can't drive. The car drives itself. You just have to be able to point it in the right direction. So,
Well, it depends if you miss your setup or not, but some people they just want to try to reinvent the wheel, and
right,
sometimes that's just not always the case.
sure. You mentioned earlier track prep. So what are you doing with track prep?
So there's a whole story behind this. So to keep it short and sweet, and entertaining. So our racetrack owner up here, his name's Jerry Brigg, and I was in the process of buying a race car trailer from him. And at the time of the trailer purchase, I had lost my job doing some race car stuff up here, and I asked him if I could work it off at the racetrack, and he was graciously allowed me to do that. And so now I know how to run every piece of equipment out there. I know kind of our standard and what we want to do. So I mean, from Thursday afternoon, Thursday night till Sunday afternoon, I'm doing track prep with Jerry if I'm not racing.
Sure.
And so it all depends on what we're racing. Like if it's a strict modified weekend, we'll do things different than having a sprint car weekend or a late model weekend, depending on the tires. So I think that's pretty cool.
That is cool.
You
That's
know, if you get a chance to get involved in your local racetrack, that's the way to do it.
Yeah, I reached out at the beginning of the year, right after I went to the test and tune, and I was like, this is really cool. I want to do this. And I've grown up in construction, so I can run any piece of equipment that they have out there.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, they never even responded. I was like, damn, I
They
tried.
must not check their Facebook page. I guarantee they
Oh,
would
I
love to have you.
emailed them, Facebook messaged them. Oh, I was,
Did
I
you walk
was
up? Did you walk up to them and say, "Hey, I can help you"?
That I did not do. I have not been out to
There you go.
Lakeside much this year. After I started up there at I-35, maybe I need to do that. Maybe I need to go back out and say, "Hey,
It is the
I've."
biggest thankless job, as long as you know that going into it.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. So
I
maybe
don't
you
deal. I
can.
don't deal with all of that as much as Jerry does out here, and I can tell you right now, I get frustrated, and I don't have half the problems he does.
Yeah, fair enough. Maybe you can answer this. Why do they drive backwards on the track in between
So we
heats and
so we do
features?
that. So the cars naturally already have some stagger in them, and so as soon as you put them out there in the slam, they're naturally going to want to spin out. So
Oh,
that's why you run them backwards, so they're not sliding around all the time. The stagger is what keeps them up on the racetrack.
Roger that. Roger that. Um,
The more you know.
right. Well, it sounds like you work with some people who are just getting into it, or you're kind of training some people. But taking somebody like me who doesn't have the experience, it doesn't come from it, doesn't just kind of bare bones. What's kind of the best piece of advice that you would give someone like me, or how would you try to steer someone like me, or what kind of
Well,
steps would you take?
the common answer has always been, get people around you that you trust, which they're not wrong, but at the end of the day, you want to build your own destiny. You can't just sit there and wait and go, well, if I had this big sponsor, or if I had this amount of money, or if I had, the big $200,000 stacker, or if I always had new tires, if I always had, there's always an excuse. They're like assholes. Everybody's got one, right? So at that point, you just got to create your own destiny. You got to just work a little bit harder. You may not always have the newest bearings, or might not always have the newest engine, or newest things to help out, but you can always do the right maintenance to kind of prevent some of that. Whether it's new bearings or greasing the bearings all the time, or if you can change your engine oil all the time, that always helps prolong it. Run valves, just the little things that always add up. At the end of the day, you're the only one going 6 feet under. There's no armored car in the hearse, or behind the hearse, I should say. And so at the end of the day, you've just got to create your own destiny for this racing world. And by the sounds of it, it sounds like that's kind of what you have going on. You're just kind of one of those deals of like, screw it, we can go racing, and that's how it should always be. Can't rely on a friend of yours to go, oh, well, this friend showed me how to do the rear end once, and maybe he'll come over and do it again. No, you need to take good notes. You need to kind of try to remember everything that you can. And if not, then you're just gonna have to learn it yourself. I'm a pretty good YouTube mechanic when it comes to rebuilding carburetors because I have no idea what the heck I'm doing.
Yep, I
But
I'm a
at
YouTube
some point, you
mechanic.
gotta learn.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's been the nice thing with getting to work without him is realistically, I think of about 2 years, right? This year, maybe get an engine or a chassis, whatever I find the better deal on, and then the next year get
Hmm.
whatever I didn't buy now. And then kind of in between that, buy all the safety equipment and stuff like that, a seat, a helmet, fire suit, all that
Yep.
stuff. But
Never ever skip out on safety
no,
equipment.
no. I refuse to buy anything off marketplace with when it comes to safety because I don't know what the hell it's been through or
Yep. And then always find a helmet that you like because you're gonna have to wear that in the toughest of
oh
times.
yeah, oh absolutely, and yeah, you don't wanna have a bad helmet.
Nope, not at all.
Well, cool, man. What do you have like a good you wouldn't believe this shit kind of story? That's or like one that you hold near and dear to your
Oh,
heart or anything like that. Oh, any stories you got?
oh, I've got a couple. So I'll give one of most recent one here. So in racing and in just life in general, and this racing life's blessed me in a lot of ways more than one. Um, you get to meet a lot of good friends, and it's not just local. Hey, let's go have a beer here in town Friday night kind of friends. It's one of those. Hey, I'm coming through Kansas City, Missouri next week. Let's go catch up somewhere. Let's go get some good barbecue or something because I'm coming through. We don't have good barbecue up here, but I know you guys do,
Yes, we
right?
do.
Um, it's one of those deals where racing has given me a lot of great friends in life, and they're all over the country, all over different time zones, and all from just different walks and aspects of life. And um, this past weekend, a friend of mine that I've grown really close to the last couple of years, he asked me to um, be a part of his big day yesterday with their baby shower and stuff like that. So I thought that was really cool. And like, I don't have any kids of my own, I don't have a wife of my own, and getting to be a part of their special day was pretty cool. So getting to do cool stuff like that with friends. I mean, it just works out that you're kind of in the same state. But I mean, I've been to weddings in Oklahoma, South Dakota, Kansas. I've been to one in Tennessee, just from racing friends that you've met. You know, you just want to be a part of people's special day. There's life outside of racing, but I think that's pretty cool. But the coolest one is last year I went through a couple of race car motors, and I was just kind of down and out on my luck. And I met this great guy. His name's Michael King. He's out of North Dakota. He's helped a lot of racers, but for some reason he felt pulled to help and try to help me out somehow, and he offered to help buy an engine for me, which is no small feat in any way. And um, we bought an engine from the track owner up here. His name's Jerry once again, and we worked out a price and wrote the check right there, no questions asked. And I thought that was the coolest thing. And I am forever grateful for Michael King because
Holy
without Michael,
shit.
I wouldn't be racing right now.
Holy shit. Dude, that yeah, that's not a small
Yeah,
check.
I don't know what pulled him to say this kid deserves it, or maybe somebody's pulling me to. I don't know what I did to deserve it, but I'm forever grateful for whatever allowed him to think that way as far as this kid deserves it. 'Cause I at the time I was just so down and out on my luck. I was ready to be done again, and yeah, Michael saved the day.
Huh.
Michael is the reason I still get to race and have a good time, and him and I don't always talk much, and when we do, the conversations are short and sweet. But I am forever grateful for Michael King.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. No, that's awesome. What does the future look like for you? What's next for Christian?
What's next for me is going to work tomorrow morning, for sure. But other than that, I'm pretty content. You know, I'd love to go to Knoxville Raceway at least once. That's on the bucket list. That's the racing capital for us sprint cars. That's the mecca, the grand finale, the stage. Everybody's got a cool picture going into turn three somehow, and I just kind of want that one photo. And I think after that, I'll be done.
Really?
I My back is hurting me quite a bit now. Granted, a lot of wrecks have caused that. It's definitely self-inflicted. No genetics. No could have prevented this. You know, it's definitely 100% race car involved. But I'd like to start transitioning to car owner. I'd like to start giving some other kids some shots at racing, and or even not even just kids up and comers. I've got a couple of people that I still stay in touch with that are trying to make a living at it. That are just kind of between a rock and a hard place right now, and they're waiting for one ride to come available, but it won't come available till the end of August. Or they just left a ride and they need something kind of in between to stay fresh. I just want to be kind of that guy for them, and then every once in a while maybe go to a new racetrack and go, well, I can drive tonight, or something like that. I've done everything I've wanted to do. Yeah, I haven't won a lot of races. I haven't really done a whole lot of cool things, but at the end of the day, for me, I get to enjoy it. My motto at my trailer is "Win or lose, we drink booze."
Hell yeah.
Um, and I mean, last time we raced, we finished eighth, and we had a bigger party at my trailer going on than the winner did. And that's it's that way every night. It doesn't matter where we finish. It doesn't matter how bad we are. My philosophy in my head is, granted, win or lose, we drink booze. But at the end of the day, it's I could have done the worst job in the world, but there's a 6-year-old sitting in the grandstands that probably thinks I'm the coolest guy ever because I gave him a sticker at the beginning of the night walking
Right.
through the stands, and I've got to keep it together for them. And for me, that's really all I care about. Is just making sure that the fans are happy. You know, they spent their hard-earned money to come watch us go in circles, and because of them, we get to enjoy what we get to enjoy and still get paid to do. Just paid to do it. But yeah, it's I've done everything I've wanted to do. I want to start helping the next generation, whether it's crew chiefing or putting somebody in the car. I've talked to a couple of people of just kind of how to go about it, and because I'm not the greatest driver in the world, I do it for fun. Like I said, win or lose, we drink booze. That's never going to change. But I'd love to win a couple of races here and there. But I mean, I know I won't be able to do it just for where the competition kind of stands right now. And I've got the greatest motor, I've got the greatest setup, I've got no expense spared in the car. It's just me as a driver. So
Sure.
I don't have the kahunas in appropriate terms to say as some of these kids do these days. So, and I know that's where the sport's transitioning to, and it doesn't matter what class it's in, but at least in the open wheel divisions, whether it's micro sprint, midget, sprint cars, you're just going to have them. And I think mine disappeared years ago. But some of these kids coming up, I think it'll be a lot of fun to watch. And I'd love to be a part of some small history of a kid that's going to be something huge like a Christopher Bell or Kyle Larson. I think that'd be cool.
That would be really cool. No, that'd be super cool, man.
Yeah. And the best part is you don't need a stoter or a toter and a stacker to do it. You don't need the 15, 20 engines. Now, granted, it would be cool. I'm not going to deny that. If somebody offered me that tomorrow, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it. And just go full time race car driver. Maybe I can find my kahuna somewhere. But you don't need to do all that. We've got a couple of people around here that have big car and a nice car, big engine, and they just hit the big races. And they look pretty content because they get to go on the boat the other weekends and golf. I got to golf yesterday. I haven't golfed in, I shit you not, like 6 years, and it was a lot of fun. I'd
Hell
love to do
yeah.
that a little bit more often.
That's awesome, man. Well, dude, that's kind of all my questions. But what I like to do towards the end of these is kind of just open the floor up to you. You know, if there's anything that you want to talk about that you didn't kind of naturally come up, or where we can find you on social media, or merchandise promotions. Kind of everybody's done a little bit of everything. But anything that you want, man, the floor is yours.
Oh man, so I don't have any merchandise. Just Christian Kinnison on Facebook and Instagram. I'm not on Twitter much. I know that's the pop, or it's not Twitter. It's X,
X.
right?
Yeah, there you go.
Oof. See, it shows you how much I'm on it.
Yeah, same.
Um, I'd like to thank just a few key people in my career right now. Jerry Bray, top of the list. He's our local track owner out here. He makes sure I have everything I need to go racing when I can't. I would do anything for him. Super thankful for him. Michael King, of course. You know, without him, I wouldn't have an engine and be where I am today. And of course, just a lot of the product sponsors I have. So like Kaiser Wheels, he's been with me the last 15 years. Smith Titanium, they've been with me the last 15 years. Both are amazing families to work with. Um, I recently started working with a new shock builder. It's John Youngquist. He's around here in Montana. His kid races in Washington. He's been a super big help. Man, those are just some key people right now. Man, way back when, of course, my parents, when they paid for my racing, couldn't do it without them being in the position that I'm in. And then, of course, just a lot of the great friends I've met along the way. So it's been a huge blessing. I've had a great ride. It's been a fun 19 years, and hopefully we can go a few more. But next year we'll probably go back to the 82 seed. Double Zero's been a lot of fun this year. I did it for a friend of mine. His name's Grady Chandler. He was involved in a sprint car accident a couple of years ago, and just wanted to do something cool for them. I don't talk to them a whole lot. I always keep up with their story, and it was just something fun to do. Change it up for the year, and it's been a lot of fun doing it. So, before we get off, my one piece of advice is go visit your local track. It doesn't matter if it's dirt, asphalt, drag strip, circle track. Just go visit them. Go have fun. Without fans in the stands, nobody can do what they want to do, and then they can't support you on the backside, So it's never one of those, oh, I'm off for the weekend. I'm not going to go support my buddy, or I'll just see how they're doing on my race pass. No, go actually and support them. I went to the other two tracks this past weekend and had a good time, and just because our local track was off. So get out, go do it, go support your local dirt track, go support your local driver, go buy their merchandise or swing by and see if they need quarters for a car wash, or if they need um, gift cards for their local fast food restaurant that has trailer parking, for the end of the night. So that's the only piece of advice I can really give. Just go support your local dirt track.
I love it, man. Well, Christian, thank you so much for taking the time to sit down with us and telling us your story, man. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you, man. I hope you guys have a great evening, and looking forward to hearing many more stories.
Yes, sir. Thank you.